Amy.
Happy.
Match Me Abroad Season 2, Episode 8 was on a couple of nights ago. We are here to discuss.
We are.
Before we do, 1 and 2, watch
We do.
our podcast on YouTube at 90 Day Fiancé. Honestly, that's normally number 2. And number 1, rate, review, and follow us wherever you listen to the podcast. Shall we just dive right in?
Yes, please.
Okay, Victoria, what's happening with her?
Oh, Lord, this was fun and cringy at the same time.
Cringy. Absolutely. She and Darren are going on their date for matching tattoos. It's such an absurd idea for a date, but okay.
But
I'm on
their
board.
first date was absurd to begin with, watching him do his comedy show and then having a discussion after in the middle of the audience.
Yes, but she seems to get off on these types of odd dates. She did mention at some point that she's really into the spontaneity of this tattoo date, which you had mentioned last time. And I get it. It is out of the ordinary and it is spontaneous and fun. I just, these tattoos are not good.
I can appreciate the fact that they'd chosen a design that, it wasn't just something off the wall. It was somewhat personal for her, but I thought it was strange that they were choosing styles of ghosts, phrase I never thought would come out of my mouth, but these styles of ghosts that reflected the best parts of their personality or something to that effect, and hers had a boob job.
And his had no boob job, which means what?
Well, she said that his was his stand-up comedy. So how did the ghost that he chose reflect his comedy, because it didn't even hold a microphone? And then the other ghost with the boob job.
Yes.
Is that her personality? Where's her self-esteem at? That is part of her personality? Maybe I could just be completely misremembering her reasonings behind it. But anyway, boob job was involved.
It baffled me. There's nothing about this date that I could relate to, especially when she starts explaining about her dad being in jail for drugs. Both her parents are dead. She's trauma dumping on
Yes.
Darren.
Yes.
And he has this look in his eyes like he's completely overwhelmed. You would think, having had however many hundreds of first dates, as Victoria claims she has had, that she would know that this is not really the best approach when you first meet somebody, to unload all of your personal trauma onto them and give them information that they would otherwise not request or need. But she does.
It was way too much all at once. And she was saying normally when she talks about it, people shut down. And it's maybe because you give them too much at once.
Yes.
Perhaps my father was a drug addict. He had issues with the law. My mother is also, just like condensing it. You don't need to give the great details of it. Although I was relishing in the details. I thought her life story, based on what she told, was so interesting. Not from a date perspective, but as an observer. And okay, so I'd like to correct myself. We were talking about the tattoos, and she was talking about aspects of her, not her personality, aspects, boob job. And then his was the comedy and something to do with the Harry Styles song, which I didn't have the opportunity to look into. But anyway, so she trauma dumps. Her dad died of an OD. She doesn't mention how her mom died. But my heart broke for this woman. Like, that's a lot of trauma for a kid to go through. And I can understand her need and want to, especially because Katerina was encouraging her to express herself and to be more vulnerable. I just think this was a bit much.
I agree.
I think she should have just dialed it back a bit. And then what I think was even more flooring is the fact that Darren said that he'd never been to a funeral before.
That was astonishing, wasn't it?
How do you make it to, what is he, 20?
He's 27, I think. Yeah, 27.
So how do you make it to that age without ever having been to a funeral?
I don't know.
I know, because his entire family are vampires.
Well, that's an interesting perspective.
And, the ghosts and whatever. Meh.
Yeah, maybe there is a supernatural element here. I had not considered that.
I don't know. I think it was a bit much for her. I can appreciate the fact that she stepped out of her comfort zone, though her being so vulnerable and sharing that much information, I think made him feel comfortable enough to share the fact that his family is nothing but chaos. talking about the wedding and how certain family members have to be separated because of the drama. It almost gave them not like an even playing ground, but that comfort level to be able to share that information. Cause I think it would be strange if you walked into a quote unquote normal family, her walking into a quote unquote normal family with her amount of trauma, and then, oh no, everyone's still alive and we all get along.
Yes, I can see that. I thought Darren recovered really well after she told him what she told him about her family, and it was nice that he was sharing equally with her as well.
Mhm.
But this is where I felt things fell apart a little bit, is because even though this conversation does show us that they have things in common, I felt as though it took all of the romanticism, the romantic nature out of the date. I
Yeah.
felt like all of the potential sparks, potential chemistry between these two was eliminated by this conversation. It felt flat to me after this point.
It could also be because they were both digesting the stories that they had told
Mhm.
and getting a tattoo. I always feel exhausted after getting a tattoo, so that could have had something to do with it. I thought their connection seemed really great. Whether or not I made that comment before or after the tattoos, I can't say. But I thought what was really nice, what he said something to the effect of, she's had a really difficult past, but yet she's still so positive and fun. And I thought that was really cute that he could see through the trauma and like he wasn't scared by it. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And it was good the way that he responded to her by saying things like, I can see us having a future together. Like he still believes that they have a connection and that things can go in a positive direction from this point. I just as a viewer, I didn't feel it. I am happy to be wrong if in the next few episodes that we see her in, she does indeed develop a connection with Darren. I just got the impression that there is no substance here.
Mm,
It's all about the getting a tattoo together experience and nothing more.
it could be almost like the downfall after the mania or the excitement of getting the matching tattoos and or the adrenaline.
Yeah.
Maybe all of that's what we're seeing is that come down.
Yes. And
And
that totally makes sense in light of the comment that he made, which was just a throwaway joke at the end where he said, "Oh, I'll see you in a couple weeks for laser removal." He was saying that to the
yeah,
tattoo artist.
I
And I was
remember that.
like, "Yeah, okay. That's a joke. I realize that. But
However,
I would not be surprised."
and I thought it was strange. I don't know if this was before or after his comment, but she said that she wants to take it slow and steady. And
Yep.
I let out one of those like, aha. What? You're taking it slow and steady with matching tattoos. It would be different if, she got the one with the boob job and he got the other one, but because they had them together, how is that slow and steady?
Mhm. And how is it slow and steady to get such large tattoos? Why not get something small and discreet that is just a little thing hidden away? No, we have to get this massive tattoo on our leg, fully visible, which is just a bizarre image.
Massive, that is your perspective.
Okay, yes, my perspective.
It's
Of
but no, I
course.
I I agree with you. It was a larger size tattoo. They could have gone with something smaller, maybe something that they could hide that wouldn't be. I mean, she put hers on the front of her leg, so she's gonna be walking with
And
that
people are
leg
going to see
forward.
it. Mhm. Yeah.
Anyway, so
I
I
th-
agree with it, I disagree with it, I don't know, whatever works with them. Eh, I I'm looking forward to seeing how this develops, if it does develop. I hope for her that it works out because we did see that chemistry with them, and if it doesn't work out, eh, she has a fun story, and the lines are thin enough on the tattoos that it can be covered relatively easily.
okay. Let's leave them there. And
Yep.
let's move on to Sarah.
God, this was so funny. As I'm looking at my notes, the amount of LOLs.
It was hilarious. And I want to know, as Sarah asked, did Dolly do this deliberately? Was it a decision on her part to make Sarah see how bad it is just to go out with a guy based on his income, perceived income. Do you think she set her up, or do
I
you think she genuinely put her with somebody that she thought she would match with?
No, I think she definitely set her up. She's like, "You want someone with money? I'll show you someone with money." And when he
And
pulled
nothing
up
else.
in that Rolls Royce, I
Mhm.
was just like, "Money, money, money, money." Please don't come after me for infringement.
Oh god.
He has money. She keeps going on about how hot he is. He's into finance and fitness. He's very complimentary of her, but to the point that it made me feel uncomfortable.
Me too. I couldn't stand it the way that he kept talking about how good looking she was, how beautiful she was, and same in reverse, although her comments were to the camera in her personal interview, not to him. Both of them were completely focused on the physical at first.
Both of them. And I thought
Mhm.
it was interesting that when they got into the little train or whatever it was, and he was pouring her beverage, he says, "Normally I have a waiter for this."
Yeah.
Hey.
Don't we all have waiters when we go to a restaurant? I don't think he was specifically saying that he has a personal butler who follows him around and pours his drinks for him. At least I
I
hope not.
I don't think that is what he was saying. I think he just means that he pays for people to do things.
Ah,
And
lovely.
I f
Charming.
I feel like Dolly had given her exactly what she had asked for, but in the most extreme sense of the word.
Mhm.
To be showered with compliments, a man who clearly has money, although I don't know how much it is to rent a Rolls, but to me, he does exude money. Like, he's super cocky, he's overly confident, he has teeth that are too big for his face,
Yeah. And
and
the way that he shows her pictures of himself in just what is it called? A mankini? No. A
a Speedo.
Speedo, a budgie smuggler. He shows her pictures of himself wearing next to nothing almost immediately
Mhm.
to show off not just his abs and his looks, but also the fact that he has this ex girlfriend from Thailand, which talks about almost nonstop. He has zero game. It's really funny that his only game is I'm a rich guy. Other than that, there was nothing.
She even said he has an 8-pack. Okay, great. I've met guys with 8-packs with 0 personality, and this guy seems to have 0 personality outside of his money and his fitness.
Yeah.
And I at first, I thought, "Well, maybe this is gonna be great because she has nothing up there mentally," but she
Hmm.
proved me wrong within a very short period of time
Oh,
because, he goes on about how he's a cheater, he thinks he's probably out of his hoe phase, and I thought she goes along with this, then she's a 100% in it for the money. But then she comes out and she says, "He's too much for me."
is this before or after the porn commentary asking her what her body count was and coming out with all of those absolutely disgusting questions that were so invasive and horrible?
So this comment, my notes,
Yes.
"He's too much for me." LOL. Is
Yes.
he? Because he is exactly what you wanted. And then it comes out that he was a porn star and
No, no, no,
laughed.
no. No, he was not a porn star. He said he looked into the porn industry because he was such a horny bugger. So
Oh,
that to me means he was looking into it as a means to have a lot of sex, but he never actually achieved getting employed. So, but he thinks this is a brag to talk about his interest in becoming a porn star, which he did not actually succeed at. That is what I got from it.
and also his sexual proclivity because
Oh,
he specifies that he lasts long. Okay, sir, that's not what every woman wants. We don't need you to last for 2 hours. That can get old very quickly. Chafing occurs. And then when he asked her body count, oh my god, rude.
hmm,
First of all, I hate that term.
yes.
When I was younger, that was never a thing. Wanting to know how many people that you've slept with is one thing, but now having that term body count just immediately makes me think incel. And I think it was one of her interviews. She said, she wanted to meet a crazy rich Asian. And her expectations were so high, though I think that she needs to add definitions to Crazy Rich Asian. And she even says, "He's a bit too crazy for me." Okay, well, define what your parameters of the crazy is, because I think Dolly hit this one right on the head. But again, I think Dolly knew that he was so over the top that she wanted to test Sarah to see if she was just in it for the money or if there's more involved. And Sarah proved me wrong because she said, "This isn't the kind of person that I want to have a family with."
Right. So I've got the impression that Sean is an F boy. That was my first impression. And then as we go along more in the date and he's asking the inappropriate questions like her body count, he's bragging about being interested in the porn industry, he's bragging about how long he lasts, all yuck, all of that stuff, which nobody wants to hear, especially on a first date. I thought, perhaps there is an incel element here because when he presented her with the 99 roses and then said to her, "You're going to have to work extra hard to get the last one, the 100th rose," I was like,
Mhm.
what kind of a person says that to you on a first date? That's horrific. You don't have to pass any test. You don't have to prove yourself to somebody. And for him to sit there and say, "Oh, you're going to have to work hard to get it," the implications of that are just so gross. It feels to me like he does not know anything about women. He doesn't know how to treat them. He doesn't understand them. He has not had a successful relationship with them. And yeah, ugh, just get away.
Which is a phenomenal segue into
Ooh.
our next incel. I don't even
Oh
know if
my
I'm
God.
using that term properly. I
Actually,
apologize to the listeners if I am using it incorrectly, although I really hope that my descriptions are enough to define what I mean.
okay. An incel is a member of an online community of young men who consider themselves unable to attract women sexually, typically is associated with views that are hostile towards women and men who are sexually active. So, is he hostile towards women? Tony is definitely. Sean, it's borderline.
Mhm. Yeah, okay. Anyway, let's just talk about, unfortunately, Tony.
Okay, unfortunately, Tony, but you have to admit the crew is doing such a spectacular job of trolling him in every episode. In this one, it was when he was drinking the honey and then pumping himself up in front of the mirror,
Oh, in
like,
front of the
oh,
oh, yeah.
oh my God. And then choking on the honey. Oh, I took too much. Oh my God. It's just absolutely brilliant, brilliant
Does he
moments that are
not have
captured.
cutlery? Can you not just take a spoonful of honey? No,
No,
no.
no, because he's a manly man. He's going to drink it straight from the glass, whole shot.
That was just
Mm.
so like, it was a lot, and his affect when he was talking about it, I find, like, his affect is typically very flat. He's so dull. He seems to have almost, like, a lack of personality. He irritates me to no end.
But this is why I love the crew and I love the way they're presenting Tony because they're showing us these moments when he's doing self affirmations in front of the mirror, which are
Mhm.
supposed to be a sign of self confidence and self love. But really, what they're doing is they're just proving to us that Tony is filled with self doubt and self loathing,
Insecurity.
completely insecure. Then he goes on this date with Marina. Poor Marina.
He
The
walks right past her.
Yes.
"Are you Marina? Are you Marina?" I'm surprised that he didn't ask the instructor if he was Marina.
Again, brilliant editing. They could have cut this out to save Tony's face from looking like an idiot who's going around asking random women if they are Marina, but they kept it in for
No.
our pleasure.
I thought that was so great because e and I completely agree with you on the editing thing because they showed her. I was like, "Wow, she's gorgeous." She could have just been a woman who was sitting on the side waiting for her session, and then all of a sudden, "Oh, hi, I'm Marina."
Hmm.
And it turns out that she does Muay Thai, and yet they're doing jujitsu.
Yeah.
I think, okay, first of all, she obviously has a lot of confidence. She's very strong mentally and physically. I thought this was an excellent quote unquote match. Huh? Huh? You get what I did there?
Hmm.
Uh, for him, though I found it quite physical for a first date, on my opinion.
Yeah, me too.
I don't I would never wanna touch him, let alone anyone else on a first date, and I wondered if he was going to feel emasculated on this date because she does do jujitsu, so she has a lot more experience in martial arts, but I felt like he had taken that opportunity to take control and be like, "Oh, are you comfortable with this?" But not asking for her consent, but just kind of, like, feeling it out like, "Oh, does that hurt?
Mm.
Because I could make it hurt more." Not, like, in an abusive kind of way, to be clear, but I think he likes the control. So
Yeah.
I think he actually really enjoyed this, and it seemed as though when they were talking after the practice or the lesson or whatever, that he had a lot more personality. He had lightened up quite a bit. He wasn't nearly as dull, though he continued to be an absolute dick, for lack of a better term. He was asking, "Do you have any kids?" "No, but I have a dog." "Okay, great. Do you let your dog sleep in the bed?"
Okay, wait, wait.
Sorry,
Because
am I jumping?
we
Sorry.
haven't even talked about the looks thing.
Oh
And I think
god,
that's
yeah.
critical to talk about that before we talk about the dog sleeping in the bed. Because there is this issue around her looks. She resembles, so he says, his ex-girlfriend. I'm like, okay, having somebody look like an ex is not automatically a bad thing. And I didn't think it was going to turn into a bad thing. But apparently for Tony, you can have somebody who's absolutely beautiful and fits every single criteria that he's asked for, physically at least, and she's still not good enough, which astounded me.
I think he's ridiculous. And I think his ex had rejected him, and he projected his insecurities and his hurt from that rejection onto her, and that's why he was like, "Absolutely not. I'm not gonna put myself in that position again."
Well, we don't know that. We don't know why they broke up, but he does draw this correlation not just between their looks, but then also between his ex-girlfriend and Marina's behavior when it comes to the dog sleeping in the bed, but not just the dog sleeping in the bed, but the woman saying that the dog is like, notice the word like, her baby.
Mhm.
This part drove me cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs completely. I wanted to rip my hair out. What kind of a person finds fault with another human being enjoying the company of an animal to the extent where they consider that animal to be a member of their family?
And
What?
as he was talking about that, I, remember was it Louisa, the matchmaker's name?
Mhm.
She had said that he has issues with disconnecting looks from the personality,
Okay.
and all of a sudden now she is his ex-girlfriend, so, that's an ex against her. Now she has a dog, which equates to a child, and sleeping with your dog equates to low self-esteem.
Yes. He draws all kinds of weird parallels and connections
Mhm.
for these women that he perceives to be lacking whenever he finds that they have an animal and the animal is close to them and the animal sleeps in the bed with them at night. Like, of all the things to find fault with in another human being, this is just utterly ridiculous.
Oh, he is 100% nitpicking.
But then he gets into this like hurricane of assumptions about women who have dogs who sleep in their bed. He says, I did research on it, women who sleep in bed with dogs. It demonstrates that women
Oh,
have low self esteem.
what psychological journals did you read in order to come up with that assessment?
Huh? And then I thought, well, perhaps this is the answer to the question that you and I have been asking, which is what is his career? Maybe he's a psychologist. Maybe he knows this because of all of his vast training in psychology and behavior.
Hmm.
Ugh. And then how is it that you're taking this instinct that a person will have to look after an animal, a pet, as a negative thing in their lives? It- like if you're looking after a pet, that's a parental instinct. And he says he's looking for a woman who wants to have children. He wants to be a dad. That is a great signal to you that that person is good mother, father material. If they have a pet that they treat like a child, that they love dearly, that they care for, that they allow to sleep wherever the pet wants to, it really doesn't matter to me. That shows that they have that capacity to look after another being, whether it has fur or hair or no hair, like Tony.
Tattooed hair.
Oy.
He comes across as the kind of guy who only wants to have male children to
Yes.
continue his lineage. And
Oh,
he's also the kind of guy who would call watching his own children babysitting.
babysitting.
Yes. And then, wait, quickly going back to the whole her looking like his ex,
Mm.
was he supposed to provide Louisa with pictures of his ex-girlfriends, any woman he's ever desired, and say, please don't set me up with anyone who looks like this? This man is completely and utterly insufferable.
Well, remember, he did want to see pictures of the women before he was consenting to go out with it on a date with them. So, had he seen a picture of Marina first, perhaps he would have said, "Oh no, she looks too much like my ex. This will not work."
Mm,
Whatever, Tony. The conversation
okay.
that he has with Louisa after the date was the juiciest,
Abhorrent.
yeah, abhorrent, juiciest. It was so filled with stuff that made me want to scream.
Mansplaining. I have
Oh,
that in caps lock.
absolutely. It's the pinnacle of mansplaining.
Mm,
And I really enjoyed the fact that Louisa was standing up to him. She was being firm, she was being strong. And yet, there is this moment when he says, "You've never met anybody like me before," which was not 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 the brag that you think it is, Tony.
mhm.
And she says, "Actually, I have. I was in a relationship with somebody like you. My ex-boyfriend was like you." And that made me think, "Oh, like you poor thing, Louisa, to have dealt with this." But then we see in the next moment how he's saying to her, "Well, you should be apologizing for calling me difficult." And he's berating her and she starts shriveling. She starts shrinking and her head goes down. And I'm like, "Oh my God. So this is what it was like for her when she was in the relationship with her version of Tony.
Mhm.
And now she's feeling it all over again. And yet he's her client. So she is in a position to be able to fire him, which is so delicious."
Also all in caps locks. But when she cut him off and she said, "Oh no, I dated a man exactly like you. I thought that was a wonderful change up." And then he says that she doesn't understand the male experience. And then
Hmm.
again, ha, you don't understand a woman's experience.
Nope.
You
Not
don't
one tiny
understand
bit.
a woman's perspective. And again, he loves being in control. And then when she said he gets this one more opportunity and then she will fire him. But she also says, it's Thais. I thought that was a nice uh, 90 day to match me. She's 30. She wants children. Great. But she cut her hair and it's about the length
Shoulder
of
length.
hers. And he's already poo-pooing the whole idea.
It was just so wonderful, his response. "Through the history of time, women with long hair show that they look after themselves and therefore they can take care of kids." What? What?
Yes.
Because I wash my hair, I can look after a kid. That's the only criteria
No, no,
there is.
no.
I have to have big hips. I have to be curvy.
Not just that, but you have to
Yep.
have long hair. So the fact that your hair is short means that you are not capable of raising children, despite the
Yes.
fact that you have a fully, I was going to say adult child. He's not an adult, but damn, he's so mature. But yeah, like, eh, eh, what?
Exactly. There are no words. It is just so completely outrageous. I I have I have this little dream that from now on, after this show has aired, no women will consent to date Tony because of how absolutely disgusting he's behaving. And
Mhm.
that somehow some oracle or wise person is going to show him the way and get him into some kind of remedial dating class so that he can learn how to treat people, not just women, people, period.
I almost
Because
slapped my desk. Do you know who he needs in his life right now?
who?
Mr. Ark.
Oh, Mr. Ark. That would be wonderful. Oh, yes.
Okay, so for those of our listeners who aren't aware of who Mr. Ark is, he was a fatherly figure in Guyana for Niles and
Matilda.
Matilda.
Hmm.
He was very poignant with his perspective on how to treat women and the back door, or how not to touch it.
Ugh.
And anyway, I think that Mr. Ark would really put him in his place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Mr. Ark would
oh,
be perfect for
as
this.
that comes out of my mouth, I wonder if he was raised by a single mom and he spent his entire life looking down on his mom because I don't know. Tony just seems like an absolute something. I'm tapping my head, but I can't think of what it is. I
Jerk.
don't know. A lot of people, or children grow up with single moms and they appreciate everything that they've done for them. But I wonder if he was raised by a single mom and yet he had some sort of outside influence that made him judge her and hate her. I don't know. We don't know his backstory. We're getting a lot of backstory about a lot of the other people, but nothing about him.
No, no, we don't need the backstory.
I don't care.
It's not going to excuse his behavior.
No, of course not. This guy, he's so narcissistic, pompous, cocky, self-centered. I really don't like him. And I
Really?
think I said this last
Hmm.
night about someone, I can't remember who now, but this guy's completely overshadowing that. I just don't want to see. Oh, it was Allie, Sam and Allie.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to see him ever again. Though that being said, is I might retract that statement. I would like to see him again just so we can watch Louisa fire him.
Yes. The final thought that I wanted to leave you with on the subject of Tony is what he said about Louisa. She doesn't understand the male experience.
Hmm.
Uh, Then why, Tony? Why did you not hire a man matchmaker and not a woman matchmaker if she was not going to be able to understand your unique and important experience?
I wonder when he applied for the show and they said, "You're going to be working with a woman matchmaker." He was like, "No, I want a man." And they said, "If you want to be on the show and you want to get paid, you're going to work with a woman." And
Oh, I
that's the
hope so.
only reason why he's going through with it. So
Mm.
again, even though I never want to see him on the screen again, I want to see him get fired, and I also want to see the editors continue to show him in the light that they have been, because this has
Yes.
been a joy. Even though he makes my skin crawl. All of the things that you pointed out have just been so hysterical.
Yes.
And again, with all of my LOLs, I actually, despite the fact that I didn't want to see him, I had to keep rewinding it because I was laughing over all the stupid things that he was saying,
Mm.
how absurd they were, and how completely out to lunch he is.
Just read on.
Please.
Amber, her date with Mr. Ireland, also known as Glenn, continues with lunch at his parents' house.
I was relishing in the idea of this meeting. How is this going to go? And she even said, it's a bit much for a first meeting. However, and they both said it's a good way to suss each other out to see how they do. This was a joy. I think I said that already, but I loved this segment.
It was delightful.
Thank you. Keep using the same words over and over again today.
And much to Amber's joy, to use your word,
God.
she finds out that Glenn lives on his own, which is basically her only criteria at this
Yay.
point. He lives on his own. He's independent. They're going to meet his parents, his family at their house. All is good. And it goes very, very well.
And he even says, I want to settle down. Or I want to get married. I want to have children. If she's not okay with meeting my parents right away, then she might not be the one for me. On one hand, okay, but on the other hand, a bit much. So it was really intrigued to see what was going to happen with this. I couldn't imagine walking it. Couldn't imagine walking into. I mean, they're still on their first date, right?
Yes, it's a
Yeah,
continuation.
the first date, and then
Yeah.
be like, "I want you to meet my parents." Be like, "No."
I know, but I love the idea. I think it's great.
Well,
It
I
does
think
reveal a lot.
I think
to
that they
you?
both had the right perspective.
Yes, I think they both approached it very well with a positive and open spirit, which was fantastic.
Thank you. Approach, not perspective.
But I don't feel like they progressed anywhere. I don't feel like we got to know Glenn any better. I still have my opinion of him that he's a player, that he's all about the looks and the superficial, because we didn't really see much of him on this episode. It was more so about Amber and the mom and the dad. It was
And that was lovely.
it was lovely, but she's not there to date them or to be adopted by them. She's there to get to know Glenn better.
Mhm.
They do share the kiss at the end of the date, which is good, I guess. Again, I did not feel anything. I'm not getting a spark from any of these people so far.
You know what I got from this episode? Amber is so fun. She's so
Mhm.
lighthearted. She's
Yes.
so easygoing. His parents kind of skirted the awkward line. The whole Diana Ross thing, and his parents saying he likes petite women, and her saying, I don't think he's ever dated a black woman before.
Mhm.
Fair assessment. Maybe he hasn't had the exposure to different cultures. That might not be his fault. Maybe there's just a lack thereof in his community or whatever. But I thought she absolutely killed this meeting, whether or not they move forward. She was so fun. And then when she talks about clogging and his dad was like, yeah, okay, show us. I'm like, this is a make it or break it. This could be extremely awkward. And she was so amazing. She was so amazing that his dad got up and started dancing with her, and then she started dancing with his mom. But why did Glenn not stand up and dance with her?
It She took it like a champ. Whenever there
Mhm.
was a challenge, she rose to it and she performed extremely well, exceeding all expectations. She was lovely. I just didn't feel like there was any depth to this meeting. I would have felt a little bit more like I knew her and I knew Glenn more, but I feel like I don't
I feel
after
like
this.
I know her a bit better.
Well, I know she can dance, but and we already knew she was bubbly and joyful and fun and upbeat.
And
But
I would say courageous, and
yes,
she doesn't take herself too seriously, but maybe he does.
I don't know if I would say that she doesn't take herself too seriously. I would say the opposite because I've seen a lot from her that I felt was just performative
Hmm.
of
Okay.
somebody who's putting themselves out there because they want to be seen and watched and be the center of attention. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
But I can see where you're coming from. The point that really threw me for a loop at the end of this date is when she said something like, well, Keevan's got a run for his money or something like that. Like he's still a contender? What? How did that happen? The last time we saw her talking about him, they were not communicating anymore. She'd given up.
And my last note after, oh my God, this is the most wholesome meeting I think we've ever had, like family meeting. And I was very impressed. It was Keegan who? Or Keevan.
Yeah, like
Who?
what? How is she still bringing Keevan's name up not only after this great date with Glenn, but also said they had stopped communicating. They were no longer texting or calling each other. Things had fizzled out after the hotel room makeout session or whatever it was. So I don't. Hmm,
Is
I
she
don't
just
know.
is she keeping her options open? But
But
I'm
what
not quite
option?
uh, him. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it was just weird.
I'm really hoping that she's gonna go on another date that's going to go resoundingly well. There were so many similarities between their personalities at the beginning, her and Glenn, though he seems like a dud, and she needs so much more.
I would like to see them go on a date where they do something mundane, like going for a walk in the park, how they interact just one on one now. Because I feel like we need to establish a better connection between them that is not based around joking around at a castle slash prison or joking around with my parents at their house while we dance. I want to see real stuff.
Something of substance, because they
Hmm.
haven't talked about anything worthwhile. They've just been having
Exactly.
fun together, which is fine. However, we've seen it with, oh, what was her name? With Victoria oversharing versus her not sharing at all. So where's the happy medium? I mean, for both of them.
Hmm.
So I wonder where this is gonna go. I just thought it was so fun to see her get along with his parents because I've seen it so many times where, you're completely in love with someone and then his parents don't like you or whatever. So it was really nice to see whether or not they work out. I thought it was a very, very enjoyable segment. She seems like so much fun and he seems to lack a lot of personality.
Awesome. I love it.
Maybe his eyebrows have taken up too
Oh,
much personality on his face, and
those
now he has nothing
eyebrows.
left.
They they need to go. Not completely, but they need to be normal, please.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Is that all? Are you satisfied?
I think yes. According to
Good.
my notes, I am.
As am I. So, before we go, if you're enjoying the 90 Day Fiancé Honestly podcast, please subscribe to or give our show a follow. And if you have an additional moment, please rate us and help other 90 Day fans to find our show. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next week.